Welcome to Cancer Chat with Michelle from Big Valley Living and Tom Garvey, the Keto Cook. Today, two survivors will be talking about their journey with cancer. Let's go to the chat. Hey everybody, welcome back. I am Tom.
And I'm Michelle.
Michelle, how are we doing today?
We are busy, busy, busy. It's fall, Tom, and traffic's picking up, and the temperature's lightening up, and life is good.
It was 58 degrees this morning when we got up.
Wasn't it glorious?
I mean, from the summertime, 120
Yeah,
something to 58, like a light switch, popping
that's
on.
what happened here. It's nuts, but I love it. I love when it cools down, and you wonder if you need to put a jacket in the car.
Yeah,
That's my kind of weather.
I totally agree with that. And then also with change of weather like that makes everybody feel a little bit better.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think where we left off last week was with the surgeries that we had.
Yeah.
So still trying to heal from it, and you had your little your girdle and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
understand. I would love to have one of them. I really did, but they didn't say anything to me about that.
I
So
wonder. I wonder with your cancer if it would have been too much pressure because the thing is you tighten it up so much, right, to keep all the loose ends tight.
yeah,
And so I'm wondering if that would have restricted your body.
yeah, that's a good question. And you know what? At that time, you never think about talking about it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You
Oh,
know,
I wouldn't have known about that contraption unless they would have told me.
yeah. So you were talking about how you were maneuvering around and how many steps you did,
Yeah.
and and getting back into that a little bit. I think that's a big to do for some people, because you feel you got beat up. You actually got beat up.
Yeah,
Uh,
like getting run over by a truck, really.
yeah.
And
So
a lot of people, it's my understanding that the Da Vinci, the machine that they use to do most of my surgery laparoscopically,
hmm
the Da Vinci isn't available everywhere. So
wow.
some people still get cut open. Their whole abdomen gets cut open, and that's a whole different ball game. I
Yeah.
don't. I've been cut open hip to hip for a different surgery, and it's very difficult to get beyond that. So I would really imagine that something like that, we'll call it the girdle, that would have been very, very helpful for them. And for me, getting in and out of bed and stuff was not easy. But I can't imagine, hip to hip and all the surgery, and then having to maneuver in a home.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Well, I can't imagine because I don't know if I would be able to handle that. That is that's even though Da Vinci was there and
Mhm.
probably lessened some of it, but like you said, other people that have like a resection, I guess they would call that and stuff.
Yeah.
That could be kind of
Well,
that
and
could be kind of hard.
they're taking out, part of your, I'm trying to look at the camera here. They're taking out about that much or more and then reconnecting it. So your body on the inside obviously changes. Things tighten up, and then you've got sutures inside, sutures outside. And I don't know if you've ever had abdominal surgery. It just is what it is, I
I
suppose.
had my appendix taken out when I was a kid, but
Okay.
yeah, but nothing
Yeah. And
nothing
they told you not to
nothing
run
that major.
around for a month.
Yeah, nothing that major at all. And
Yeah.
see, in my case was just the way they did. I got a couple slides here. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
up for you, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put us off to the side. There we go. So this is basically what it looks like inside the bladder. I mean, this is a little more animated, you know, but like I had said before, it's like the little follicles that are
Hmm.
all in that area there, all in this, and that's the tumor right there. So they're sort of flat, but then they dig in a little bit. There's another illustration of it right there.
That's a really, actually, a good illustration.
So I mean,
So it's
like I
like a
said,
little bug digging into you.
yeah, it looks like a slug or something,
It
you
sure
know.
does.
But that's the ones that they have there, and also this is how they stage it. Um,
Mhm.
this is you know, like minor, but it's still a tumor. And
Mhm.
this is basically how they start out, and they all go around into these different TA. That is how I started right there,
Mhm.
and this is where I wound up. I never got to this section over here, thank God, because
Mhm.
once it blows through or is invasive in there, very hard to stop.
Mhm.
Very very hard to stop. So I mean, learning that in the beginning, I had no clue
Right.
whatsoever. And as far as the treatments that were coming, that they never talked about my treatment, what I was going to get. So when they did talk about it, I was kind of nervous about that also because of the way they were going to do it. But they just kept coming. Them little tumors just kept coming and coming and coming and coming.
Mhm.
And I guess the last one, like I said, showed you on that T2, was where he said that's when you got to get yourself in order. So these just kept coming, and once it goes through, usually winds up either in the prostate or it hits your liver, and
Yeah, once
everything.
anything hits your liver, then you're
Yeah,
kind of in trouble.
everything in that one part of it. So it was a learning curve.
Mhm.
Every little bit of pain or any little bit of something off color with me, I was a nervous wreck.
Mhm.
And after now thinking about it, after all these years, you know what, Michelle, this is bringing back a little bit of clarity to me at this
Mhm.
stage of my life right now, thinking about it. I don't know if you go through that. I mean, sometimes you try to push it away
Yeah.
and not
Well,
think
now
about it.
a deeper dive is easier after the fact.
Hmm.
Um, the whole staging thing did, they talked to you about it and they talked to me about it at first, but then again, I think I talked about this. I believe I blocked it out when it moved from, my colon to my ovary. I I just blocked it out. I was so hyper focused on it, hoping it didn't grow because I was taking chemotherapy as it grew. So, you're thinking, oh, cripes, because I almost said, yeah, let's take a wait and see attitude. But then they saw that little tiny dot, and they're like, well, it might not be a bad idea just to be sure, and we'll keep an eye on that. But
Yeah,
I'm glad. I mean, I guess I'm glad I was on the chemotherapy because God knows what would have happened if I wouldn't have been. You
yeah.
know.
See, and in that, like I said, 180 days, I would go back. They would give me that time, much time to heal, and
Hmm.
sometimes in between, them little tumors that you seen there that was stuck on the wall there. Um, every once in a while, I would urinate and in a jug, and I'd have to actually look, and they gave me a filter to pour it through in the
Oh goodness,
filters
so you could see.
to see what was coming out. And I was like, you know what, this is like almost a joke. What's
So
going on?
you seem like you didn't have a separate oncologist dealing with you. You had one. Oh, you had a one-stop shop doctor.
Exactly,
Yeah. See, that's
exactly.
so different.
If it broke through, then I would have to go see an oncologist.
Okay.
If
Okay,
it
that
if
makes sense. That
Yeah,
makes total sense. Yeah.
yeah. So the BCG treatment. Now I just looked it up again. I guess yesterday I did. This treatment now for bladder cancer, there's a couple other things that they're working on right now, but now this
Mhm.
BCG thing is now there's a shortage with it. You know,
It's what?
as there's a shortage of this
Oh
treatment.
no. And that's the one, the tuberculosis, formerly
Right, right.
tuberculosis
Yeah,
treatment. Okay.
yeah. So now
Is tuberculosis on the rise or is bladder cancer on the rise or
bladder
neither?
cancer. Bladder cancer is
Oh my
is.
God.
Here's the. I don't know if you ran into this or not yet, but I would have people say, "Oh, you got bladder cancer? Oh man, I had lung cancer. That's you had nothing. What are
Yeah.
you talking
Oh,
about?"
cancer is cancer, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was kind of discouraging. And like
Mm-hmm.
I said, going into the doctor's office when I would go back to see him and getting ready to do my treatments, place was packed, jam packed. So that just told me wow, what's going on with this? You
Mm-hmm.
know, what was the causes and stuff. Who knows? Maybe them years bouncing around in that truck might have done it.
See, and you could actually feel your cancer. You could physically see your cancer. I had no clue. I mean, I had clues on the changes of what was literally what was coming out of my body and the
Mhm.
fact that I was nauseous, but I didn't I didn't go through that same thing, When it was in my ovary, I didn't have cramps. I didn't feel any different than I normally would feel. I got it yet again, and I didn't feel it then either. I didn't feel it when it was touching my spine, and we'll get into that later. But I never, mine is a feelingless cancer, if you will. You have to watch for other stuff, or it can just take off, you
From
know.
from my from my from what I read about it and looked into colon cancer and stuff, it is silent. It
It's
is
a
there
very
is
silent killer. You would never know.
yeah.
And if you don't want to talk about your poop, which is it embarrassing to talk about your poop? Yeah, it's embarrassing. But if it saves your life, talk about your poop. Look at your poop.
Yeah, I
I'm not
agree.
ever going to apologize for that ever.
Everybody in my immediate family was talking to me about when I pay. I
Mm,
mean, come on, you know?
we all do it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
but just to sit there and even with my grandsons, they were getting a little older. One guy was like 7, 8, 9 years old, and I go in. I would go into the bathroom, come out, and say, "Everything okay, Pop?" Like, really. And it's and
But they're
that's
worried about you too. They want to know how you're doing. They want to know you're going to be there tomorrow for them
yeah.
and with them.
Yeah. And then you try to dot the i's, cross the t's as far as what you're eating.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, the smoking. I think the smoking was my biggest problem, but you never know. I mean,
Oh,
um,
you mean like with the cancer itself?
yeah, yeah,
And they say, I mean, all cancers are maybe not completely caused by it, but certainly exacerbated by it.
yeah.
And I knew a friend in school. Her mom had bladder cancer, and an uncle of mine had bladder cancer, and both of them were smokers.
Hmm.
Now, does that mean that that's what caused it? I don't know, but it's ironic, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And I was a smoker. Now, my husband was too, and knock on wood, and thank God he didn't get it. But it's kind of a luck of the draw, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And the bad part of the bad part about it is, you know that there's something wrong, and like I said, for almost a year, I didn't deal with it.
I didn't because I didn't want my doctor to tell me to quit smoking.
Yeah,
I
and
was so addicted to that. And some people, say, "Well, I never smoked and I got it." And I would, and that makes me really sad. But there are environmental factors that could cause it, even if you didn't do anything.
yeah, exactly. Because the doctor had asked me if I had well water at the house, and I said, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's an old farmhouse, and it's basically what it is. I had to put filters and stuff on it. He said, but you're not from around here. I guess he heard my Jersey accent.
Uh-huh. So
You
he
know,
wanted to know if maybe the groundwater had
right?
chemicals leached into it.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting. And it
Yeah.
makes you wonder, did they know about clusters in that area where they could have tied it to that?
That's the silent stuff that you don't get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're scared to be Jesus out of you first of all, and then then they start picking data, about it, and characterizing the whole bit. But then what made me more concerned was when they showed me the like I said showed before, was that graphic of the stages of it.
Hmm.
Okay, that was on my mind all the time. So I never missed an appointment, never missed a treatment appointment, because I
Hmm.
didn't want that to get carried away from the way he did. He scared me.
Well, and that was good.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Scared the
there's
living
a
hell out
little
of
bit
me.
of fear goes a long way, right? It makes you take it as seriously as you should.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. In your recovery, when I say recovery, coming from out of your surgery and
Uh,
stuff, did you dot the i's and cross the t's about everything they told you, or
you mean
you
like
know?
diving into it to learn
Yeah.
more?
Yeah.
No, because well, no. because I was so involved in what I was going to be starting to do. I was still working. I wanted to work full time. I wanted to carry on as normal of a life as I possibly could. I was telling you, no matter what I did, I got up every morning and, took my shower, did my hair, did not go back to the bedroom, that type of thing. And I did go back to work as soon as I was cleared. Um, I went to work and started chemo simultaneously.
Wow.
And so because, my doctor kind of told me this is chemo light, if you will. No, chemo is a joking matter, laughing matter, but after I did go through the infusion and that cocktail that I had, I'm pointing to my little my little port. Um, then I knew what he was talking about. Okay, then it made a lot of sense. But at that point, you're still affected by the chemo. Um, I think I shared this with you last week. We're doing some rearranging of our home and just cleaning up and stuff like that. And I ran across. I'm organizing all my notebooks. And when I first started chemotherapy, the very first time, I started a diary. And I mean, I kept meticulous notes. What time did I get up in the morning? How much water was I drinking? Everything that went into my mouth. All my feelings. And there's the important thing, all my feelings. And it just page after page after page. And by the fourth day of taking chemotherapy, my emotions were already noticeable by those around me. And I didn't really see it, but I don't, you're just living your reality and your truth, right? And where you were living and screaming in pain of what your treatment was, mine wasn't really like that at first. And
Well,
so I felt misunderstood. I had a little bit of a pity party. I really did. Um, and then after about a week and a half, I stopped doing the diary and I just moved on with my life because that's what I needed to do for myself. But yeah, I'm reading that thing and I'm like, just 4 days into it, I'm already feeling the difference in my body, but people are noticing a difference in my bubbly personality because I am a very positive and upbeat person. And I guess I was just turning into kind of a feelingless blob, you know?
yeah,
So I don't know.
that's in a way I'm glad we're saying this because I didn't keep notes, but guess who did? Marie
Your
did.
wife did, I bet you.
Yeah, and she told me, later on down the road, in the beginning, it's sad sack type of thing, and I thought that was it. I thought it was no more. What's the sense? All that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's after I was mad at everybody. You know what I mean? You know, and then it was like, poor me. What am I going to do? What's she going to do? The whole bit. But
Mm-hmm.
she kept it down of when I took the medication,
Mm-hmm.
when I had problems, the whole 9 yards. She would actually come in when I would filter. This sounds incredibly nuts, but she would stand right there. That's what I'm talking about. It was wide open, that everybody
Mm-hmm.
knew, you know, that my problem. But she would watch me pour the stuff through this, almost looked like a paint filter
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. And every once in a while, you see these little things laying in there, and yeah, okay, they're coming out, and we always say better out than in, that kind of
Exactly.
that kind of
Exactly.
conversation, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But my life was wide open to the cancer I had.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So even going back into the doctor, and talking about starting the treatment and stuff like that, um, I didn't know he didn't really explain to me how the treatment was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then once I discovered what the treatment, how they were going to administer the treatment, I said, this is completely crazy. But like
Mm-hmm.
you said, you can start feeling the difference
Yeah. Yeah.
a little bit.
And when you're on chemo, it does. I don't care where it is, because for you, it was going right into your bloodstream, right? I
Yeah.
mean, So you're still absorbing it. It's still altering your brain. It's
Yeah.
altering your emotions, your brain waves. And it's funny now that I'm just like I really have not thought about it this linear of a fashion for quite a
Hmm.
while. But about 2 weeks before I was to start my first chemotherapy, JJ and I went camping because we used to go camping every New Year's weekend. We go to a local lake and we get a nice quiet spot, take the dogs, and just go out for walks and stuff. The weather here is nice, so you go
Yeah.
up to the foothills and really enjoy it. Have fires at night, the whole 9 yards. And so we
Hmm.
did what we used to do every year. And I can remember one night I got real moody, because my emotions were just all over the place before I even started it because I was scared. And because I've been given the really good news, hey, it doesn't even look like you're going to have to do chemo. We're all excited, yay! And then you need to go see an oncologist just to be sure. Okay, okay, I'm okay with that. I'm going to go to an oncologist just to be sure. Then I meet the Grim Reaper and I go away from her and I go to a good guy. And when I go to the good guy, he says, "Well, we really should. It's your choice, but you might just want to be sure." And he talked about the little weed seeds that could be there, right?
Right. Right. Right.
And so we went camping, and so this is 2 weeks before I'm supposed to start. And I came unhinged one night, and I mean, we're in a camping trailer, right? And so you're like maybe 50 feet from your new neighbors. And I came unhinged. It was only about 10 o'clock at night, and it was New Year's Eve, so there was a lot of noise outside, thank goodness. But I just went off on JJ. I know I did. You're not the one going through this. You're not the one who's going to put this poison in your body. You don't know what it feels like. And I mean, it was for me, I'm not a violent person. And for me to get that upset where I'm actually yelling, we don't fight. We have loud discussions sometimes, but we truly never fight.
Right.
And we don't say mean, harmful things to one another. And I was just that's probably my lowest emotional point was at that point because I was angry. And
I,
you talk about your anger.
yeah. Marie seen like the real bad side of me when
Hmm.
we were. It was like 5:30 in the morning, and we're in the hospital up in Cary, North Carolina, and I'm sitting down, uh, going through all the paperwork, what we got to do to check in,
Hmm.
and they told me that I needed $7,900 and some dollars before they were going to do the surgery.
Hold on, let me get my checkbook.
I looked at the girl and I said, "You better call 911 right now because I'm going to wreck this joint." And Marie was like, "Calm down." What do you mean, calm down? And I let everything out. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm I'm the one with these tumors. I'm the one. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
With that, my doctor come walking through the back. Thank God he came walking through the background. He told the girl that'd be enough. Get him prepped. Get him ready.
Hmm.
And I went. We'll worry about that later on.
Hmm.
And just with that move right there, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
You know, I shouldn't be showing anybody my anger or
Well,
that
but
kind
it's
of talk to anybody.
natural. But it's natural. And then I mean, I to have a financial right aspect thrown in your face that you weren't expecting that, right?
Hmm.
So I think when you go through it, everything's an unknown. I was lucky that we have very good health insurance, and I didn't have any. My only copays were $15 to go see the doctor. That
Yeah.
was it. When I went in for infusion, there was no copay. When I had my the capecitabine, the chemo light, the pills, um, I think my copay was I could get JJ. I think $10 every round. So it cost me at the most. It cost me $30 in any given month
Yeah.
for these medications that they sent to me, and so it just wasn't ever a thing. I still have never seen all of the bills. And I can't imagine. Because I get CT scans, I like clockwork. I get CT scans.
Yeah.
I have
How?
gone 9 months without getting one right now. And I feel like my body is like rejoicing, right? Because those are all radioactive chemicals too.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. How often did you get your CT scans?
Oh, every 3 to 6 months. For a while there, they were like every 3 months. The PET scan, I've had 3 PET scans over the past, well, it's been over 2 years, but I've had 3 PET scans, and I know that that's more invasive and more, uh, radioactive, I suppose, than the CT scans. I've had mm, 4 or 5 MRIs, um, and let's see, and then the radiation, that was a whole special ball of wax in its own.
Did, did they give
Um,
you did they give you a full body scan, or just
that
an
That's like a PET scan, yeah.
yeah, the full body?
But they never looked at my. They've always stopped like right here, right?
Hmm.
Because it doesn't. If I guess if it went up here in my chest, they do check my lungs because the lungs are the next, could be a next logical
Yeah,
spreading spot. And they obviously, they're going down to my hips, so it definitely checks. It'll see all of your organs, your liver, your bladder, everything else.
yeah. See,
Um,
they did the same thing with me,
mhm.
up to my neck down, because they said lungs and this and that, and that's why they kept harping on me about the cigarettes. You're not smoking again, are you? You're not smoking. Oh, no, no. I said I'm done. When I quit, I
Yeah,
quit. That was it. And
scared straight.
yeah, he sort of understood what I was saying, but still had that in the back of his mind. He said, because your tumors are coming back like crazy. He said, almost to the point where it's almost unstoppable. I don't know
Mhm.
what else is going to happen, and we might have to take your bladder. And just all this talk
Mhm.
every time I would go back there. I like this guy because he kept a record of everything. He actually
Mhm.
recorded what he said, and he had it on. He
That's
had
very cool.
he had it on his laptop and stuff like that. And you know, and I was like mortified with some of the stuff that he was coming up with. But I'm in the long run, I was glad that he did. I was glad that he said, cut to the chase. Right, here's what's going to happen.
Right.
Like almost like scared straight type of thing.
Right. And it is that way. It is
Yeah,
that way.
yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't want to get it again. Especially, when I thought I didn't have it. I mean, they got it all. And that was probably good that my surgeon called me and told me that right before Thanksgiving, because it put me into a really good mindset.
yeah.
And then, you're going to go see an oncologist. Okay, well, that's just for grins and giggles, right? We're going to shake hands and say goodbye. And it just didn't work out that way. That first doctor is the one that blurted out that it was stage 2, which I had no idea about. And then, and here's what we're going to do. Now, she did set the first course of treatment in motion, because you only have so much time between having surgery and starting chemo for it to be like optimal, right? To get you underway. So it's good that she set it under in motion, and then I followed up right away with the other doctor as soon as they could approve my insurance to go see him. I just said I wanted a second opinion, and
Right,
he became my forever oncologist.
right.
Um, so it was good that it had started, because if I would have waited, it may have taken too long. Not too long, but you know what I mean. Um, and so I started it right on the cusp, but as history would tell, it came back anyway. I think it was just lurking in the shadows, quite frankly, and it was just waiting for its place to shine and come back, because they always saw that little speck, and it was like, it could be nothing, because when it starts, it's like it could be nothing at all. It could be a shadow,
Yeah.
that we won't see the next time. And that's where I got a lot of the CT scans.
In the long and short of it, now that I
Mhm.
think back about it, when they stopped the treatments, like I said, one round of treatments was 6 weeks long.
Mhm.
So every week for 6 weeks, I would get a treatment, and they let it go for a couple months, and I go
Mhm.
back, and they would do the scope again, and then do it again, another 6 weeks. So I think I did 3 or 4 of them, or 6 of them. I think total was 6. Uh,
Six-week treatments.
yeah, I think I did 6 of them,
And then
and
there was time between how much time was in between? Because I always had to have time for like I would do 2 weeks and then a week off and then two
usually
weeks.
2 to 3, about 3 months. They would let it go for 3 months, and
Mhm.
in between treatments, I had 2 occurrences where I had to go in and they had to take a couple of them out.
Mhm.
But the last time this stuck out, the last time I had the treatment, that's when they told me I had type 2 diabetes and they couldn't do it no more.
And so
So
now you resign to it and you're a partner and you're into it and now you have to stop being a partner.
right. So now what do I do now? You know,
Yeah.
we're going to get into that later on down in the. By the way, midstream here, I want to tell everybody that we had
Pardon the
started
pun.
podcasts. Can't,
Sorry.
can't, Cancer Chat podcast. One up on Michelle's side and one up on my side. So if you have to go back and forth and listen to it, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for each of our channels. But
Yep.
yeah, we got it up. We got 3 of them going, and we're gonna do 3, and then we'll put a bump again that way. But now getting back to the treatment and stuff.
Mhm.
So now I'm figuring out that they told me I was type 2 diabetic, and they were still coming back. They were still coming back, coming back. So thinking about it now, cancer thrives on sugar, on glucose. Okay, and where does most of the glucose go, or how they used to test you years ago was when you urinated. They did a test strip into your
Yep.
urine, and they would see how much sugar's in there. Voila! I said, "Hey, I think I answered my own question." When they told me that I had type 2 diabetes. Prior to that, I was fine. I had never had any signs of diabetes. I think the
Mhm.
highest, I think the highest meter was, I think 100, 110 or something like that. It's always 90 in between that. So I never thought about it, never had it.
Yep.
But now I'm thinking about it. Every time I'm peeing out sugar, glucose, because type 2, then I would have a bunch of tumors, or that's when I would screen it and see what was coming out. It was crazy. It was completely nuts. I said to Maria, any you could have married anybody you wanted. Here you got a guy who screens his urine. you
Yeah,
know?
but God. And aren't you just so, let's take a moment of gratitude here. Aren't you just so thankful for her caring enough? Because I mean, when I think about the way I acted sometimes, like, and of course it's natural. You're sorry that you did it. For sure.
Yeah.
But the patience exercised by somebody who's already frustrated because you're not you, your life is not the way it was before. They're worried about you. They have no control over what's going on with your body. Because I think when you love somebody as much as you, God willing, do when you're married to somebody, right? You want to take that pain away. You wish it was you and not that person going through it.
No. Yeah.
And so the undying patience that they go through, and I'm sure JJ told me a few times, he's like, dude, I just like sometimes I just want to check out of this gig. This is too much. This is like way more than I
Yeah.
ever imagined. And a lot of that was when I was like really in my, and
Yeah.
because you go through that. You go through that.
My wife. Okay, like I said, she was documenting things, but prior to that,
Mhm.
Maria's very regimented with something. Okay, if you give her a recipe, okay,
Mhm.
it is to the nines. I mean, well,
She's got
that's
that teaspoon out, huh?
yeah, and she calls it the spatula. She calls it stingy scraper to get everything out of the bowl and stuff. You know what I mean? So you know, doctor would say when I was getting my treatments, I had 15 minutes on my back, 15 minutes on my side, 15 minutes on my belly, 15 minutes on the other side. Get up, can't urinate for 2 hours.
I
I
still
had
can't imagine.
I had
I
an hour and a half
cannot imagine.
drive home. Okay, have to pee, Russian racehorse, and then I road rage. Can you
Yep.
imagine? Can you imagine getting pulled over by a cop? I can't pee.
Oh God, no,
And then
no, no, no.
I would get home, and we only had one bathroom. It's an old farmhouse, all right?
Yep.
And once I did go, I mean, the burning and it was just unbelievable. And my urine looked like it was day glow, like a lime day glow color.
Wow. Well,
Okay.
chemo.
Yeah, and we had a septic system. Thank God we had a septic system because can you imagine putting that? I mean, how many people are getting that
I
treatment?
do. I did.
And
Mine went
then
right on out to the fish.
yeah,
No
so
wonder we don't have any frogs in Sacramento anymore. I killed them.
so Marie had to get in a car, or actually my truck. I had a pickup, and she would have to go to the daughter's house to use the bathroom. Couldn't do it for 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because whatever it's toxic, whatever this and that. So
Mm-hmm. Can I
and
can
she
I ask you a question?
yeah.
Did your chemo, okay, because it's toxic and all that, did it etch your toilet in any way?
Yeah, because you know why? When we moved into this place was in shambles. So
Uh-huh.
the rust that was around the tub,
Uh-huh.
we had to scrub
From
and
the water, yeah.
inside the toilet. But once I started with the chemo and then urinating, it
Hmm.
actually left where the water line was. Actually left there was like a slight ring
Uh-huh.
around it from I guess from me going in there. So
My toilet, the main toilet, because that was mine. Fortunately, we did have two bathrooms,
yeah,
and I stayed out of the master bathroom, um, just because it just made more sense for me. Because remember, during the day, I was out in the front room, and it's just about the same distance from my side of the bed to that bathroom as to the other one. But our toilet still has scrapes and scratches in it, and it's from that. It is
yeah,
a direct result of that. And I told JJ, I at some point I want to get a new toilet, but I want to make sure that it's worth getting a new toilet.
yeah.
And but yeah, it did. It changed. It etched the porcelain on the toilet and left permanent scars to it. It isn't as bad now. I go in and I clean it with pumice stones, but it definitely, that's something. There's something no one talks about really. They tell you not to do it because you don't want to expose your family or children or even pets or anything, but you don't realize until you physically see the evidence of what it does. It is a harsh chemical that was inside of your living body. And
Yeah.
it's doing that to an inanimate, into stone. It's etching stone.
The- it's not funny, but thinking back about it, the stuff that I had to do, couldn't have the grandkids over.
Yep.
Anybody came to the door wanted to come in. No, no, tell them away because if they went in to use the bathroom, they couldn't
Mm-hmm.
for 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, not that many people came, but the kids always wanted to come over and see Pop and stuff like that. Even after the time was up, I would have to because I felt like Jesus, I don't know what I'm going to do to the kids or whatever like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
From it. So that was kind of a rough curve right there. But getting back to Marie, what a
Mm-hmm.
trooper! What a trooper! Right there, always right there. What do you need?
Yep.
What are you going to do? During the
Every
middle of the night.
appointment, every surgery, right? Last person you saw, first person you woke up to. I mean, being a caregiver, I've told this to JJ on numerous occasions. I'm glad I was the patient and not the caregiver because I can't imagine watching him go through it. I just can't.
Yeah, she was really tough. And I knew sometimes it was getting to her.
Hmm.
I used to like wine. I used to like a lot of wine. With dinners
Hmm.
and cook with it and stuff like that. And here in North Carolina, uh, when I was living there, I would have wine sent from me, actually from California. And, when I'm cooking and whatever,
Yep. Yeah. We have good
uh,
wine here.
oh, yeah, definitely really good.
I live not too far from Napa.
So,
There are other good places, but
but I couldn't drink anymore. There's no way I could
yeah,
put alcohol in my system, this and that.
yeah. Because
So,
that in itself is a sugar.
yeah, yeah. So at one point, Marie says to me, "Would you mind if I had a glass of wine?" No, not at all. So I knew at night she would have, once I get settled in,
Mhm.
we had separate rooms because I didn't want anything to affect her. You know what I
Wow.
mean? We'll
Yeah.
come up with something else.
Yeah.
So at
I wasn't that kind. I needed the comfort of being in bed with JJ and the
at night
dog.
she would have a couple nips. That one night I seen her walk. She come walking past the room drinking coffee. you know.
Oh
We
man.
laughed. You know what it was though. There was some serious times, and there was times that really wrecked me. Because there again, I'm trying to take care. We were living out in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? We'd have wolves coming through and all this kind of stuff. And then, like I said, we took to the gardening, and we lived off the land that way,
Hmm.
planting stuff because I wanted to get back pure. I wanted to kill everything that was in my system and
Hmm.
keep moving. And I just
Kill it with
felt,
nutrition, huh?
huh?
You killed it with nutrition. You wanted to kill it with
Oh
nutrition.
yeah, yeah. I mean, listen to all this other kind of stuff,
Hmm.
but it was definitely an eye opener. And then when I was at I guess the last surgery I had, uh, it was funny. I told you this before. So now this was a little bit closer, so she would drive. All right, so I'm on the gurney. They just wheel me down, and okay, everything's all right. I had a lot of pain. I felt nauseous. First time ever
Oh wow.
I got nauseous from,
Oh yes, you did tell me about this.
yeah. So they gave me a shot of Zofran.
Hmm.
So she said this is gonna take a little bit to kick in. Told my who's where's the car? Marissa's out in the parking lot. She said maybe you can pull the car around and then we'll meet you and wheel you out. Okay. But she said we're gonna wait about 10 or 15 minutes before we do. Make sure there's no reactions. Okay. Marie leaves. All right. Marie is horrible with directions. Okay. If if she was with Christopher Columbus, it would have wound up in Cuba somewhere or something. Make the wrong turn. So the nurse says, "You feeling okay?" I said, "Yeah, I feel good." And I said, nausea went away. She's all right. Let me take it. So they get me in a wheelchair. I got the bag. I got the bag on my lap, and then they have a blanket over top of me, and I had shorts on. And it
Hmm.
was so as we're walking out, she's pushing me. She says, "What color car do you have?" I said, "I don't know. Ask her." Marie was walking by. Marie got lost in the hospital trying to get
Yeah.
it. But that was the stuff that kept it a little light of what was going on and
Yeah.
everything. But on the way home, the Zofran I was allergic to.
And
My
I was telling you that was my miracle drug, my absolute savior when I was on chemo was Zofran. And I mean, I'd be counting down the minutes because I'd have to take this other one if I had a breakthrough moment where I didn't, where I felt sick. I'd have to take a different one. And that one I didn't like. It wasn't very effective. And
uh,
I would count the minutes for Zofran.
that made my half my tongue started swelling up, side of my face to the point where I couldn't talk. Marie's driving, running red lights, hitting every bump there was on the road. At one point we went airborne up in the air, and she's crying, driving,
Yeah.
okay, all upset, and my tongue is getting worse and worse. So what they would do is they would call you every time I left to make sure because they knew, am I any bleeding or anything like that. So Marie answers my phone because I couldn't talk. Right. Later on, I found out that could have been deadly. That I didn't go to get.
Anaphylactic shock, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh,
So Marie's got the phone and she says the nurse wants to know if you want to come back. Mm-mm. And I can't talk. Right? No, you're driving. I don't want.
Oh no.
So,
But
but
see, at the
thank
time it was horrible, and now you can look back on it and laugh.
and yeah, exactly. So
And that's
thank
an
God.
important point for people, don't you think?
Oh
Right
yeah,
now it may be sucking really bad, but you will find nuggets of funny things later on.
yeah, and and it's on a serious note of it. That's why I'm not a big firm believer of um, sending people home that fast, because there
Hmm.
are side effects that could happen. There's things that could happen that doesn't
Hmm.
happen right away.
Hmm.
Uh, you know,
Well, see, and all of my chemo at first was administered by myself at home. I
okay,
I took 5 pills in the morning. I tried to make it 6 a.m. I had to eat. I hate breakfast. So that's another huge. This sounds funny. Huge incentive to stay off of chemotherapy for me is that I do not like breakfast, and I needed to, with all things, you need to, you need to keep it on an even keel. So my goal was always to eat and take my medicine 12 hours apart to keep everything nice and just flowing as it should.
yeah,
And so if I would have to have breakfast, take 5 pills, wait 12 hours, eat dinner, take 5 pills, and so on and so forth. And it would be like that. And anyway, it was self-administered. And so every little thing, right? You read the 8 pages of what could possibly happen, right? But this rarely happens, and this is more common. And so I take the pills, and I swear to God, 5 minutes later, I'm like doing a whole scan. I'm all paranoid, looking around, feeling for any little weird feeling or whatever. And I finally kind of got used to it. And I'd say my side effects were more the nausea, but it was more the other kind of distress, if you will. And my legs swelled so badly. Did you get any of those types of effects? Because I have always had nice thin legs. I was very athletic as a younger person, and my ankles were as big as what my thighs used to have been like. They were
yeah.
just gigantic.
My stomach swelled up really bad, and
That makes sense too, because they're
yeah,
blowing you up like a balloon, right?
and then the UTIs were coming. I mean, I was getting infections like, and there again, not knowing exactly
Hmm.
what was going on.
Hmm.
Uh, like I said, you go see the doctor if you had 15, 20 minutes with him. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Because his place was busy.
Now, could they
Uh,
give you any numbing agents? I know when I get a bladder infection, I can take AZO or it's Peridium, and it turns your urine a real dark orange color to a point where it stains everything. But could they give you anything? Would that have even worked if they gave it to you?
in the beginning they did, and
Uh huh.
funny story about that one too. We're coming back from the doctor, and he gave me them, and I took them,
Uh huh.
and I took him I took him in the office. So on the way coming home, I told Marie, I got to stop. We stopped. I know where every bathroom was from Cary to Clinton, North Carolina. I knew where everyone was. I said, hey,
Yeah.
how you doing? Yeah, right back there.
Oh, watch out! The screamers coming back.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, they call me. Hey, this guy's a pisser, But we went. We pulled into a McDonald's, and I ran in because it was like, but I had that pill in it with the orange. It was almost like a reddish color.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm standing in the urinal, guy standing next to me,
Oh my
and
God.
I went, oh, because it hurt,
Mm.
right, coming out, and
And you see that coming out of you.
he looked over, he went, damn.
Oh my God. That's
I
funny.
just Yeah, and I just rolled with it, and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was getting between the tumors coming back and bladder infections and kidney infections.
And that's
It was crazy. It was
painful.
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And then one time, we came real close. I don't know what was going to happen, but they took the catheter out. This was like 2 weeks after I had I think the second or third one. But I had a lot of scar tissue that was coming out, and you could see it going into. I don't want to gross anybody out or anything like that, but it looked like, almost looked like red worms type of thing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that
That
was
happened.
all.
Yeah, it happened to me too. And I was so scared. I was like, "Ugh." And the doctor said that's normal. It's okay.
So after we go, the bag was always bloody looking, red color.
Hmm.
Because you could put a little bit of drop of blood in water, and it'll
Right.
make it overstate what was going on. But they took it out. Driving home, all right, I had to pee. Stopped, couldn't, but I had to go. And I said, what the hell's going on here? I
Hmm.
had to turn around in the car, still having to pee, have that sensation. I got to pee. Now I got to pee really bad.
Hmm.
Back up to the doctor. They sent me over to the emergency room, and they were gonna go back in again, but they decided just to put a catheter in it with a bigger, I guess nozzle at the end of it, whatever it was. Anyway,
Hmm.
yeah, it's not fun. Not
Wow.
not not fun. Not fun. Not at
Wow.
all. Well,
This
uh,
has been a very eye-opening, really. I don't think either of us expected that we would get into this level of detail, but honestly, this has been one of our best, more in-depth conversations about the kinds of things that happen and the kinds of things that are, I guess, normal. They don't feel normal at the time, that's for sure.
yeah,
They
and
really don't.
I don't want to exaggerate anything, but this is not an exaggeration. This is, I mean, all of a sudden now this is all coming back to me. Like you said
Hmm.
before, you sort of put it off a little bit out of your
Yeah.
mind, what was going on. But as we are talking about it, and Marie, Marie this morning was saying to me, "Do you remember when this happened? Do you remember that happened?" Yeah, sure do. Now it's all coming back, you
Hmm.
know. But I don't want to sugarcoat anything for anybody who's has that. Go get checked, please. Uh,
Definitely.
don't play games with this because this is life threatening. I mean, it's
And if you
stop it.
feel like you have early symptoms, and your doctor kind of pushes you off a little bit, I think, if you in your gut know that something just isn't right, you've got to go to your doctor and let him know, Doc, I know, we've tried this and we've tried that, and I just want to be sure. Can we just, here's a really good piece of advice. Ask for a baseline. Just check me and let's be sure. And then another thing that I don't know that a lot of people would know to talk about, and I am responsible for making my brother go in for an early colonoscopy because he was only like 47, and I said, you need to go get a colonoscopy. And he said, no, I don't. I'm not 50. And I said, you have a family history of colon cancer. I am your family history of colon cancer.
Hmm.
And he had never mentioned it to his doctor. And so he went into his doctor and he said, my sister's going through colon cancer treatment and she really thinks I should tell you. And man, dude had a colonoscopy scheduled like that
Yeah,
because, once they know that there is a family history of it, um, and again, he came out as clean as a whistle, and that is exactly what I wanted. But he has a baseline now. And he does have better habits than I do. He has never smoked. He didn't drive a semi. He hasn't had the exposures that I had as a young adult. And I'm so thankful for that.
yeah.
But he does have a family history. And I'm not the only person in my family. I had a cousin who died of it a year before I went in and discovered that I had it. And I had been told that she had diverticulitis and that she died of complications from diverticulitis. Huh. The complications were colon cancer.
Wow, wow,
And
wow.
she was 49. She didn't even turn 50.
Jesus.
And
Yeah, I mean,
she didn't have the insurance that we have. And she hadn't, her doctor was treating a symptom because she did have a lot of stomach pain. So her doctor was treating a symptom. Don't eat any strawberries. Don't eat any blackberries. Don't eat any nuts.
the
Don't
little
have seeds.
seeds and stuff. Sure.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And by the time they realized that that wasn't the problem, it was too late. But no one told everybody. I have a really big family. nobody told everybody that that the diagnosis had been changed and that that's what it was.
Well, that's man, that's sad. That really
Yeah,
is.
such a
Well,
young woman.
my mom died. She was 63, bone cancer.
Oh,
Uh, didn't even get a chance to retire.
yeah.
My mother went from she was a little chubby, jolly woman,
Hmm.
okay, down to a bag of bones. And my dad died when he was 70, lung cancer. Okay, but he smoked like a chimney. But in the same token, though, I mean, my older brother had um, they resectioned him. They took a section of him out
That was colon
of his colon. Yeah,
intestines. Uh-huh.
and they had
And
him
now
on a
how's
bag.
he doing? How's he doing? Is he okay?
No, he's no longer with us.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay.
No. He, I mean, he was 81 when he died. So that
Oh,
me and him were in the restaurant business together at the
so
place.
you're one of many. So was he the oldest and you were the youngest? Is that kind of,
Yeah. Yeah. And then my sister was the oldest and, she had lung problems,
mm,
but, I mean, you can see the history going down,
mhm,
going down to it.
mhm,
And, I have another older brother right now who had lymphoma
mhm,
and was dealing with lymphoma. So it runs in my family. So any kind of there again, I was pig-headed, urinating just a little tiny little bit of blood. I must have
mhm,
hurt myself or whatever.
mhm.
Always coming up with excuses. Please, if you're listening, don't do that. Go get
Right.
checked. Go get
And
checked.
that was me too. I thought I was eating wrong. I wasn't exercising enough. Well, maybe all those things were true. Maybe they weren't. But where you were urinating blood, my stool got darker, 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 and narrower and narrower and narrower. We all know what a good poop looks like.
Right.
And when your poop is dark black and it comes out looking like a flat ribbon, you've
Yeah.
got issues. And they're not
Yeah.
to be, ignored. You've got to talk about it way before it gets to that.
Yeah.
If it just starts to narrow for any amount of time, you got to go see your doctor. And even if it doesn't change colors, because with colon cancer, you could be stopped up. You could have the complete opposite that I had.
Right.
You just never know. But a change in your urinary habits for bladder cancer, a change in your number two habits for colon cancer, or just anything in your stomach that's different should be checked out. And it doesn't matter if you're not 50 years old yet.
Yeah.
That's not the magic number anymore, unfortunately.
I'm gonna go out on a limb right now. Okay. And I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
say, see this right here?
Mm-hmm.
Change your eating habits,
Yeah.
please. Lay off the sugar. Get away from the carbs. I'm not saying stop them altogether. I have
Mm-hmm.
type 2 diabetes, so I can't have a lot of carbs, or else my blood sugar goes up. But what
And
happens
don't
is
eat meats that are treated. Don't eat lunch meats.
no processed
Don't eat
meats.
salami. Don't, yeah, you're right. No processed foods,
No
period.
process. Nothing.
Yeah.
So I stay with beef, chicken. I do pork.
Mm-hmm.
Lamb, I would love to have lamb, but very expensive. You got to
Mm-hmm.
do within your means, but there's a way you can do it. Believe me. You're looking at
Mm-hmm.
living proof right here.
And
Uh,
I can't have a lot of hamburger. I mean, beef. I'm supposed to stick with, when I have beef at all, I'm supposed to be eating grass fed, grass finished, difficult to find, and
yeah.
certainly not cheap. So we eat a lot of chicken around here, and I
Yeah.
love fish anyway. Not, I will not eat farmed fish because they're eating fish chow.
I,
So it needs, for me, it needs to be wild caught, and yes, it costs more, but what's the alternative? You've got to find a way. I'd rather eat a little less of a really good food than a
eh,
whole lot of something that is just killing me,
yeah.
literally.
Yeah. And we'll get into that down the road a little bit later on about how we do it. But junk food, stay away from it.
Yep.
It's just not in the cards for us, and
Yeah.
it's a shame because, uh, like I said, I'm going to be 70. Well, I'm 70 today, by the way. But
Happy
what
birthday.
happens? Yeah, what happens is, You get caught up in this junk food delivered to your house, okay, and it's addictive. It's loaded with junk and causes more problems. A
It's
guy my
been
age,
designed to be addictive. It
a
has
guy my
been it's been scientifically designed to make your brain want it, even though
yeah,
it's not good for you.
yeah. You turn around and watch now. I'm looking at stats uh, of younger people. Okay, you're talking 20, 25 years old in that range, 5 years difference, that are coming up with colon cancer. All different kinds of cancers that they're coming up with now at that stage, where you're just about invincible. You could get away with stuff that at my age you would think that you would have from there on, but it's younger and younger and younger. So,
Hmm.
well, you know what? We're coming up on the hour,
I think
and
we're gonna. Boy, this has been that went quickly for me.
yeah, it did. It did. I can get, like I said, like a Victrola needle going sometimes, chatting about it. I want to make sure that we get the point out because that is, to me, it's very important. So,
Great.
any last words, Michelle?
Happy birthday, Tom.
Eh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. Let's put it that way.
I'm glad you're here too.
So, okay. With that said, we will see you next week. That's
See you
Michelle.
later, everybody. Be kind.
Take care.